Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakurash, the honors under the elders, apostles, Great Millstone, the elders, Great Millstone. And of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai. Of course, I'll serve him in truth and sincerity. Of course, so we're out here in Babylon and great teaching the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai once more. You can start me off with, or let's go ahead and get Mark chapter 13.
Yep.
Because, hey, as we know, again, things are ultimately speeding up, and you can start at verse 3.
So this is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives over against the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled?" And Yahushua answering them.
Yeah, exactly. So ultimately, the apostles were looking for, the kingdom of heaven, as the scriptures say, hastening in the day. So, they asked Yahushua, what the end times would of course look like. So as we're about to read, Yahushua is about to give them what the end times would look like.
Yep. Verse 5. And Yahushua answering them began to say, "Take heed lest any man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many."
Exactly. So many people coming as if they are of the anointed, but which really they're not of the anointed. So, as we also brought up, obviously there's going to be more false prophets, and ones who of course call themselves anointed, which they are not, compared to those who are of course speaking the truth. The true anointed ones.
Verse 7. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet.
Exactly. So we're clearly in the times of wars and rumors of wars. Again, things keep on increasing. Back in 2022, we know that the big war was mainly, or of course, the war was mainly about Russia, Ukraine. And then, going on to 2023, you got Israel and Hamas. 2024, 2025, again, going down the list, obviously things are ramping up within the Middle East, Iran, and, basically America. And again, coming up onto 2026, hey, clearly, we're in the times of wars and rumors of wars.
Yep. Verse 8. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows.
Exactly. So famine, earthquakes, in diverse places, pestilences. So what? Ultimately, without a doubt, we are in those times. But we of course, back in 2020, had that big pestilence, which was the C-19, or I'm not even gonna finish it, but the C.
Yep.
So hey, and ultimately, as these world leaders are saying, or such as the lower luminaries, such as let's say Bill Gates. Kill snakes,
The hell is that? Shit was loud.
Hey, yeah. So ultimately, kill snakes. He's basically saying that there's going to be another pestilence, and basically how this pestilence is going to be bigger, than the one that just passed back in 2020.
Yep.
So hey, showing you that without a doubt we are in the times of pestilence. Also going to the famine. Again, things are ultimately getting worse. Again, we went into the Strait of Hormuz, and basically all these different, conflicts happen around the world. Clearly, without a doubt, we are in those times.
Yep.
Again, so the things are ramping up, and also what? It also go into earthquakes. You can go into the path or past earthquakes. You got literally hundreds and of course ultimately hundreds of earthquakes that happen around the world. For what basically it's like you can look at the recent years. Again, it's been hundreds so far. Again, in diverse places, meaning in various places.
Yep. Yeah, I got a precept for you. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 15:1. It says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true."
Exactly. So ultimately, again, all these things have been, written already. And all we're doing, of course, is prophesying, obviously what's been already written. So, we're coming out here on the highways and byways, again, forwarding the gospel of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. This thing isn't of us. Ultimately, it's of the Lord.
Yep. Verse 3, fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness.
Exactly. So all the unfaithful, what ultimately it says, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee. So, ultimately, it's a lot of our people who don't believe. Again, we prophesy. We get mocked. We get scoffed at. And ultimately, as says, Slaki can read again.
Yeah, it says, verse 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness.
Exactly. So all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. As scriptures say, what is it in Romans? Even if they don't believe, does that mean the word of the Most High is a lie?
Right.
Ultimately, it just means that they don't believe. But just because they don't believe, it doesn't mean that all these things are written, of course, aren't going to come to pass.
Yeah, because the scriptures say that the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, and these people aren't hastening in the times of the Lord's coming, right? A lot of people they might say that we're in the end, but they truly don't know how close we are, man. World War III happening, that's big in prophecy, right? People aren't talking about the everything going digital, right? What the aftermath of this war will be, or Salakia. Yeah, what the aftermath of this war will be, and what this war and what the effects of this war will bring, right? We're looking at a recession. We're looking at the economy crashing, right? Several blackouts throughout the U.S., right? An energy crisis. And this is all going to have to happen so they can usher in what? That MOTB, right?
Yeah. Yep. To read this real quick, it says Luke 17:20, and when he was demanding of the Pharisees when the kingdom of the Most High should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of the Most High cometh not with observation. Neither shall they say, lo here or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of the Most High is within you. Yeah, so ultimately, this king, as it says right here, what the kingdom of the Most High is within you. So, ultimately, this thing, starts within us. And as it says right here, whether the kingdom of the Most High come not with observation, meaning that, it's not like, things are going to start kicking off and then, Jake's going to get, hey, ultimately, once the majority of our people start to get right, it's going to be too late. So, obviously, as you see the prophets, again, prophesying the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, now is, of course, the time to repent.
That's it.
So, it's not like, again, because, hey, as scripture say, Proverbs 1, then, they shall seek or call upon my name. But at that point, it's going to be too late. Once all hell breaks loose and ultimately the Lord pulls back his prophets, it's going to be too late.
Exactly. And how is the Christian church, right, preparing you for that day, man? You going in there, you there, there's a bunch of heathens around, they're telling you pray for America, you pray for solely for carnal blessings, for a direction in this life, I hope the Jesus can, help me with my direction. And, you focused on this life and you're not focused on what's to come, man. You're not focused on the Lord's kingdom truly.
Yeah.
Then you got guys like, I don't know if you've seen the guy, Jaden Ivey, the NBA player that got, released from the Bulls because, he's a Christian. He's against the LGBT, man. That's low level stuff, man. Saying that you're not with being a Mo, people being Mo's, that's low level, man. This guy's not going into the prophecy. He's not going into that. He's an Israelite, which he's a Christian, so all he's going to say is, what?
Oh, JC.
Yeah, JC is are your actions going to get you to the kingdom and all, but he's not, it's no substance behind that. You're not teaching anybody anything. You're not going into the prophecies. You're not going into the MOTB, right? You're not going into, you're not truly going into the message that you're supposed to be preaching, man. Which that guy really, he's another false prophet that's set up too. because you're gonna have a lot of people just because he's getting penalized by the NBA thinking that he's a prophet, man. You know, when imagine if somebody in GMS was in the NBA, that would never happen, man. That would never happen,
you know,
man.
NFL,
You know?
or, you know, fucking, you know, you're you know, face on the front line of the page, and you out there in the house and bodies at the same time.
Look what happened to Kyrie for showing you the screenshot of a movie, man. What was it, Hebrews to Negroes? You know, telling you who the true people are, giving you an idea, and he didn't even expound on it. All he did was just post, and then look what happened. He had to go through all this anti-S training, and he was out the league for all this time. Everybody was calling him crazy and all this stuff, you know. And then I guess now what, he's a Muslim, or he just all over the place.
Yeah, you know what? That's why it says, well, you know, ultimately it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man.
Yeah.
Because, you know, ultimately a rich man isn't willing to give up, you know, basically his riches, you know, for what, the kingdom of heaven.
But that just go to show you that these athletes, celebrities, and stuff like that, they all know about the truth, man. You know, but they'll kind of be like, if they do, you know, somewhat believe or know that they're Israelite, they'll keep it kind of low key. Like that guy, Carmelo Anthony, was like, yeah, man, 12 tribes of Israel, and that's all you. That was just it, you know, a few years back.
Which,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, you know, which ultimately it's not, you know, it's you know, nothing wrong with having some money, but ultimately, you know, if you're, you know, of course, you know, bound by Esau, you're under some type of contract where, you know, you can't speak, you know, what you want to speak, and again, you know, can't speak the truth. Then what, you know, and then ultimately, then you're of course serving Mammon, then serving, you know, the Most High, because again, you got to put Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai first and foremost.
Put Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai first, and you know, you gotta be able to help the ministry the best you can. You know, not saying, and we don't need your money or anything like that, but you got to get yourself involved, man. You know, you got to put yourself out there, right? Romans 12:1. You know, your body as a living sacrifice. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead. Yeah. Well, actually, you want to get that, or did you have something else? Or we can get to can't serve the Most High and Mammon.
Yeah, come on.
We can get that too.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, go ahead.
It says, Matthew 6:24, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and Mammon. And again, it doesn't mean that, you know, having money is wicked, but scripture say, you know, the love of money is of course the root of all evil.
Right.
So, you know, if your mind, again, is focused on, you know, again, you know, the money, you know, the opportunities that you have within this world over the you know, the Lord, then, you know, that's when you're, of course, you know, going off. As well, you know, again, we have examples, you know, Kendrick Lamar, you know, Nick Cannon, Kyrie Irving. Again, you know, these were all guys who, you know, went into some of the truth. And well, you know, ultimately they you know, completely went with it's like it, you know, went back on it, and you know, basically started, you know, following after again their masters again.
Yeah, that's like goes into you know, like the rich man, you know, that wouldn't give away all his things in order to follow Yahweh Shai, man. You know, that's these athletes, celebrities, and things like that, because, you know, they'll say a little bit of truth, and when Esau come down on them, and you know, their money is affected and all this, you know, their status is affected, you know, they'll pretty much apologize and act like it never happened. You know,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but that just go to show you, like, you can't get too high up in this society without selling out, man, or completely serving Satan. You know, you can't have one or the other. You see, if you in the NBA and you saying that you an Israelite, you saying the small hat's not the people, you gonna be out the league, man. That's just gonna be it. You know.
Yeah, you know, that's why. Or what, you know, ultimately, again, you know, the best way is of course, you know, just get your, you know, whatever, just again in a you know, legit manner.
Yep.
Because, you know, you got some of these guys who are of course selling out, you know, again, you know, within Israel, you know, preaching the truth and getting that 501c3.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, you know, completely corrupting the gospel.
Yeah, kind of. Like, look what Genesis has turned into, man. The TGIC or something ministries. So they pretty much, Christians with an Israelite twist to it at this point. You know, coming in with suits. Now his hat is off. Finally for the heathen. You know.
Hey, yeah. You know, Esau told him to take the hat off, and he took it off.
Yeah.
But the elder apostles, been telling Jake, and Jake didn't want to listen. But hey, go to show you, as scriptures say, but what's the one scripture? Basically, our people are homeborn slaves.
And think about that. He wouldn't take his hat off for the Lord, but he did it for Esau, because Esau, his dress code when it comes to like being business, casual, business formal, you can't be wearing no fucking snapbacks and shit like that. When you go into the courtroom, they gonna make you take off that hat. You're not just gonna be wearing it. You see? So that just goes to show you that when he made that shift, right? When he completely rebranded himself, and after he corrupted the gospel, that's why he's doing all those things, right? Because the business formal wear, suit and tie, all that came from Esau. That's Esau's way of being business formal, or his way of being shalom. But yeah, that's Esau's way, right? The clean shaven face, right? Which I don't think he shaved his beard, but I think he began his beard began lineups. He shaves his head all the way bald, Yeah. So that just go to show you that he was never truly transformed,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And Jake got a full suit on.
Yeah.
Jake coming like this now, like with the camera, like.
Yeah, Jake couldn't purge that leaven, man. That mammon demon, setting up debates, getting money off debates, monetizing the truth. That's what happens what happened when Jake woke up to the fact that they're Israelite. They use it as a trend. They use it for monetary gain. They use it for their own filthy lucre's sake. It's not truly about serving Yahweh Shem Yahushai in truth and sincerity, right? It's about what you can get from the truth. You see?
Yeah. It says Matthew 6:19, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. Yep. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. Exactly. So the point is to lay up our treasures, of course, within the kingdom of heaven. Because again, as the scriptures say, of course we use the world, but we don't abuse it for the passion. It's like for the passion of this world passeth away. So ultimately, again, the main thing, the 100% main thing, again, is serving Yahweh Shem Yahushai, so storing up our treasures, of course, within the kingdom. But ultimately, this gospel comes first, over of course, over all things.
Yep.
It says Matthew 6:21, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Exactly. So our treasure, of course, is within the kingdom of heaven. So meaning our heart, meaning our lob, of course, our minds, is of course, within the kingdom of heaven.
Yep.
It says, verse 22, the light of the eye, it's like it says, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore, Matthew 6:22, it says, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, the whole body shall be full of light. Exactly. It says, but if thine eye be evil, the whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? Exactly. So ultimately, again, our minds are focused upon Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai first and foremost. Again, and as scriptures say, we of course seek the kingdom first, and all things should be added on.
See, yeah, because people aren't willing to sacrifice when they come into the truth. You got guys taking weeks off, months off, saying they had to get their stuff together. Can't come to the camp because whatever. Because at the end of the day, we all in this captivity. We all got things in the world we got to do, but the truth comes first. And no matter what we go through, we know Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is gonna get us through that. Especially if we out here, we doing the work, right? We making our bodies a living sacrifice, rehearsing the righteous acts, right? Making our call to election sure. The Lord will provide everything else. This is our main focus. right? This truth.
Yeah, exactly. Jake, got his mind too focused on the carnal stuff. His energy is going too much towards the carnal stuff, man. Jake's head's too wrapped it's like around it.
Yeah, it's no excuse in this world for you to completely just stop going to camp. You're not doing no lessons, no videos at all. Or I had to take a month off doing lessons. Okay, you don't have 10 minutes of spare time for the Lord at least. You don't have a designated time for the Lord. That's how you can weed out those who's serious about this thing or not.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, as the scriptures say, for ultimately walking within a truth, again, is a straight gate.
Yeah.
So again, it's not everything's going to be of course easy. It's a straight gate, meaning it's going to be a narrow path that you're going to have to of course walk through. So you might have some things happen to you in the world, and again, so things happening to you in the truth. Well, guess what? You got to of course handle it.
That's it.
So ultimately, you can't let the world overtake you, and you can't get too caught up. Again, you got to put the truth first and foremost.
Yep. Got precept. This is Luke 21:34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares.
Yep, exactly. So again, the truth is first and foremost, because again, once Yahushua comes back, again, it's going to be a time where, of course, you least expected it, or for him to come back.
Yep. Verse 35. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that come to pass and stand before the Son of Man. So do you think these different Israelite camps doing Passover fashion shows, right, doing rap videos, all this, monetizing the truth, is ready to stand before Yahushua, man? Is ready for this place to be destroyed? Every time you ask, it's starting to be a thing now, right? Every time you're starting to ask some of these camps, when the end will come, they're trying to push it back. It might be 1,000 years. It ain't right now, They're not hastening in the kingdom of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. If you ask the true men of the Lord, they're going to tell you that, hey, Lord's willing, this is the last year, man. Lord's willing, this is the last Passover, right? Because we know that it's only a little bit of time, right? The scriptures say that those days shall be shortened for the elect's sake. And these times are getting sped up, man. All right? We just had the Passover, and it's already Saturday. So the times is speeding up, and these are very heavy times. All right?
That was it on that?
Yeah, that was it on that.
John, you can get Romans chapter 12.
All right. Romans 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto Yahweh, which is your reasonable service.
Exactly. So ultimately, our bodies as a living sacrifice. So meaning that, again, obviously, when you sacrifice something, it's going to be something that you're of course losing out on. So again, and it might be something that again, might be, to you again, it might might have some type of but ultimately, you got to sacrifice it for Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, because again, the ultimately the word of the Lord comes first.
Yeah, and even like sometimes if it may feel like it, you really not losing out on anything, because when we get in the kingdom, the Lord gonna give us all that 100 times more, man. You lose a woman, right? You lose your friend, you lose your family, right? Everybody looks at you different, It is what it is. It's all for the sake of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You're gonna be looked at as the foolish of this world. That's what's supposed to happen when you understand the truth according to the scriptures. You're not supposed to be loved by the world when you get this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. They're supposed to hate it. These people want to cling on to their own flesh. They want to cling on to Western morality, the ways they were brought up, and not the ways of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You see, that's the issue, right? It's not, the issue isn't that they hate you, but ultimately they hate Yahushua.
Yep.
You see? Go ahead.
Yeah, read this real quick. This is Mark chapter 10 and 30. It says, but he shall, well, it's lucky. It says, Mark 10:29. And Yahushua answered and said, verily I say unto you, there is no man that hath left house, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my sake and the gospel's. But he shall receive an hundredfold now in this time, houses and brethren, and sisters, and mothers, and children, and lands, with persecutions. And it says, and in the world to come, eternal life. Again, so ultimately, you know what? What it says, there is no man that hath left house, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands for my sake and the gospel. Yeah, and ultimately, you know, of course, all brothers have, of course, you know, went through, you know, at least one of those things. You know, for again, you know, the name of Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shai, and again, you know, these things are of course, it's like it, only going to increase.
That's it.
It says, Mark chapter 10:30, but he shall receive a hundredfold. Now in this time, houses and brethren and sisters and mothers and children and lands with persecutions, and in the world to come, eternal life. Yeah, so ultimately, again, you know, we're going to get everything 100-fold.
Yep.
It's
nothing to be it's nothing to be prideful in this side, nothing to glory about on this side, right? We're in this captivity, everything is wicked, we're in this flesh, right? Imperfect bodies. We looking for a righteous kingdom where we're perfect, where we're incapable of going off, man. Where everything, where the food we eat is clean, right? Where the laws and statutes and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is established, right? And not wickedness. Everything being in order, you know? And hey, brothers have been going through it, man. You know? Just when we seen brothers, you know, the day of the Passover, brothers was talking about how they was going through it, how they seek of this kingdom, you know, and that's the right spirit to be in, man. You know, you're supposed to feel like that. You're supposed to feel like a being worn out, being in this kingdom, man. You know, because we looking for the kingdom of heaven. All right.
Yeah, Khan. Yeah, so you can read that again. Romans 12:1.
Romans 12:1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Yahweh, which is your reasonable service.
Exactly. So ultimately, you know, this thing is our reasonable service, and ultimately, you know, to be here is of course a blessing, because you know Jake, you know, treats again, you know, being out, of course, out here on the Hows and Bobbies, as if you know it's a burden, you know, as if you know it's you know or you know just Jake ultimately treating it like it's a burden. No, ultimately again it's a blessing, as scriptures say. You know, faith is a gift.
Yeah.
And you know and ultimately, you know, this truth is a gift.
Yep. A burden, right? A waste of time. You know, they could be doing something better with their time. You know, look at us like we're bums, we don't got jobs, or you know, whatever the case may be. That's how Jake looks at the prophets that was sent by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. You know. But then, you know, they're not thinking about this captivity. They're not thinking about the wicked man that's in power, right? But you know, Jake puts all their time and energy against, you know, coming against the truth, you know, and not the actual wicked who run the planet Earth right now, man, which is Esau, right? The small hats are Edomites. They're not the true people. These are the people that's in power. You know, when you heard about the PDF files, hey, this place was supposed to be flipped upside down, man. And people are just going like, you know, that didn't happen. You know, people are still having trust in Trump, and even though he was involved in, you know, all that wickedness, you know, they're still going behind him, man.
Yeah, you know, Jake instantly forgot about it.
Yep. Now they're talking. Now it's just to the next distraction. The NBA, Jaden Ivey, you know, whatever. You know, all gas prices going up. You know, just dumb shit. But
yeah.
They're not really looking at what's actually going on. You know.
Yeah. You know, Jake's, you know, constantly, you know, ultimately, what, you know, being, of course, you know, being distracted.
Yep.
Because, you know, you can go, hey, you know, ultimately, again, you know, the truth is out here, but again, you know, Esau plays, you know, different games. You know, again, you know, distractions. You know, Diddy and you know, the Island guy, of course.
Yep.
Again, all of it, of course, is a distraction.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
you know, that's the main thing that Jake is focused on. You know, rather, of course, being focused on the truth.
That's
You know,
it.
things that are actually, of course, you know, gonna benefit you. And of course, you know, of course, and you know, these things, of course, have certain, or it's like, what's the word? You know, basically, it's certain, you know, importance, you know, within these different things that you know, of course, Esau's letting, of course, come out. But hey, you know, ultimately, again, the main thing is, of course, in the truth. Or it's like it's a truth.
Yep. In verse 2, it says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh." So there you go, man. You got to be renewed, right? You can't be clinging on. You got to put off the old man. You can't be clinging on to certain, you know, Western philosophies, Western morality, right? You can't get offended off of reading the scriptures. You can't, you know, because you got people like that, right? You got people that read the scriptures and, you know, have the audacity to say that, you know, the Lord isn't right. The Lord isn't just, right? He's not a balanced power, you know. What's the logic behind this, you know? So you know, when people say that they're in the Bible, they're not truly into the Bible, man. They're not truly, you know, renewing themselves, right? Putting rap music into the truth, you know, putting so-called black culture into the truth. That has no place in this, man. We're not black, all right? We're Israelites, you know. So we're supposed to keep the customs of the Israelites, right? Not the black, you know, the shit that Jake came up with while we were in captivity. That's not a part of our heritage, man. That has no place in this truth. All right.
Yep. So you can give real quick. Well, let me go get this real quick. This is Daniel. Shalom. So this is Daniel.
Get some heat a little bit.
Yeah.
Scorching sun.
Yeah, so it says Daniel chapter 12 and 4. It says, "But thou, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book. Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Yeah, so again, you know, ultimately we're in the times of course, knowledge being increased. And what ultimately the big thing that's, again, you know, fulfilling this prophecy is what? AI. And, you know, ultimately, you know, the Lord put in the spirit, again, for knowledge to be increased. So, you know, you got ultimately all these things coming out. Again, it's ultimately, you know, fulfilling prophecy. Read again, it says Daniel chapter 12 and 4, "But thou, Daniel, shut the words and seal the book, even till the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." And of course, you know, as the scriptures say, you know, the Lord's going to shorten the days for the elect's sake. So, you know, the Lord's ultimately speeding up these of course, you know, these prophecies. Again, you know, Esau coming down like a madman, sparing none, you know, will ultimately, as it says in Revelation chapter 12 and 12, you know, coming down with of course, a great wrath. And again, you know, all the things that happen around the world, again, the Lord is putting the spirit upon Esau, upon these other nations, again, to speed these things up, again, to you know, shorten the time for the elect's sake. And again, you know, certain things coming up, again, like AI, again, and then, you know, again, it's like ultimately everything speeding up. So, again, you know, showing you it's like what times that we are in. Again, you know, things, as it says, knowledge shall be increased.
Yeah, I got precept for you.
Yeah,
It's the book of Revelation 12 and 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." You know? So there you go, man. All right. So we're seeing the prophecies come to pass, right? We're seeing this devil come down with his great wrath, because everything that's happening, right, in the world is all a part of this man's his plan, right? Going into what's going on with the economy, right? The economy about to go digital, the economy about to crash. One of his main goal is to implement that MOTB, right, for the whole world to take it being mandatory, right? So what Esau has planned is what's called order ab chaos, right? He wants to put you in chaotic conditions, right? Hellish conditions, in order for you to take it, right? We've seen kind of a trial run during the C-19 situation where people weren't granted certain freedoms. They weren't able to go out and things like that. They had to stay home, and if you didn't get the juice, right, you couldn't do certain things, which it wasn't mandatory, right? But we've seen how the people were so quick in order to take the juice so they can go back to their their day-to-day lives, right? Just stupid shit, right? Like go to the gym, go to the movies, right? Do certain things like that. So imagine when the MOTB comes to pass, it's life or death, right? You won't be able to buy, sell, trade. All right, people are going to be put to death for not taking it, right? So it's going to be a lot of people that just take it, not to mention already going through Jacob's trouble. People are going to be looking for that security, and that's going to come in the form of that digital implant.
Yeah, that as Scripture say in Isaiah chapter 33 and 6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Yeah. So it's not going to be again what you store up, the doomsday preps, what ultimately might be your weapons or this and that. Now ultimately what's really gonna sustain us within these times, of course, is going to be what the wisdom, knowledge, understanding that Yahweh Bashim Yashai is of course going to use to build us up, to build up our faith.
That's it. And when you first come into the truth, you already have to be under the understanding that you cannot deliver yourself from what's about to happen, man. Because when you read the scriptures and you read about Jacob's trouble, right? You read about the second Esdras, the 15th chapter. You read about what's actually about to happen. You realize that you really need the Lord during those times, man. All right. Esau is pretty much at the peak of his power right now. With his sword, military weapons, his witchcraft, right? All these different things that he has, you're not able to deliver yourself. You need divine intervention, right? The scriptures go into that the Lord will lift up a standard, right? That goes into spiritual power. That goes into a supernatural force, giving you that protection. You see? And I got that for you, that Isaiah 33 and 6. It says, "In wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure."
Exactly. So, hey, there you have it. Again, your wisdom, knowledge should be the stability of thy times. So ultimately, so I can read again.
Isaiah 33 and 6. "In wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure."
Exactly. So, ultimately, Yahweh Bashim Yashai, again, is building us up. Not with, again, the carnal things of this world, and us putting our trust in the things within this world. No, ultimately, again, we're of course being trained up, within his wisdom, knowledge, understanding. So, ultimately, that's what's really going to sustain us. Again, that's Yahweh Bashim Yashai, of course, dealing with us. And then read the latter part.
Yep. It says, "The fear of the Lord is his treasure."
So there you have it.
Yep. Yeah. The fear of the Lord is his treasure, because the Lord is only dealing with the elect. The Lord is only dealing with the remnant. Now, when you think about a treasure, you think of something that's precious, not easily obtainable, something that's valuable, right? And only the elect is truly going to have that fear of the Lord. They're going to have that wisdom and knowledge to be the stability of those times, right? When you read the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, it goes into the just shall live by faith, right? These people are going to try to come up a different way, right? Doomsday prep, because these people, without the spirit of the Lord during that time, you're just pretty much going to be in straight survival mode, doing whatever you can to get by, You're gonna be in famine, right? You're gonna be looking to take what somebody else got because you're hungry, right? To feed your family, right? It's gonna be cannibalism around, right? So these people are just gonna do whatever, you know, a friend, somebody that you thought was your friend, your good friend, best friend, is gonna turn on you during that day because of survival, man.
Yeah, and you know, ultimately, you know, that's ultimately, you know, the spirit of Esau. You know, the you know, cannibalism.
Yep.
Again, you know, being completely, you know, again in a you know, rabid state.
Yep.
You know, that right there is Esau.
Yeah.
So you know, ultimately, since our people were of course, you know, followers of their you know, the father, the devil. You know, ultimately, you know, that's the spirit that, of course, you know, they're of course, you know, gonna abide in, you know, within these times, and of course, you know, within times to come.
Yeah. People are gonna be stripped of their conveniences, stripped of their comforts, stripped of being on the internet, on TikTok. People ain't gonna be, you know, taking their you know, prescriptions, medical prescriptions, right? So the spirit of these people is that they're just gonna go crazy, man. You know, we seen what happened when they shut down TikTok for a couple hours, how the people was acting. So imagine when the whole grid is just off, you know. These people ain't gonna know what to do during those times, right? Because that day is gonna take them as a thief. Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
This is 1 Corinthians 14:37. It says, if any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandments of the Lord. But if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So going, you know, in of course, into what Apostle Paul said, because as we know, you know what, or you know, we can get in the scripture where, you know, Yahushua, you know, of course, directly taught Apostle Paul. So you know, the things that Apostle Paul was saying, again, it's not like he was just pulling it out of nowhere. No, ultimately, you know, these are of course the commandments that have been given on him by the Lord.
This but if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant.
Exactly. So if any man be ignorant, you know, let him be ignorant. So, you know, you got a lot of our people, you know, they might follow, okay, you know, the law, this and that. But, you know, when it comes to you know, Apostle Paul's reading, you know, of course, you know, they want to, it's like, you know, it's like, ultimately what they, you know, it's like want to deny it. Or, you know, it's like you can read again.
Yeah, like, look, if people don't want to, if people don't want to take heed to this wisdom and knowledge and understanding, it's not our job to bang you over the head with the scriptures and keep on telling you. We're just going to let you be, right? Because that's the spirit of the Lord, right? Those that are ignorant, let them be ignorant. You know, a Jake come up, oh, what are y'all doing? You know, just being unserious. You know, we're just going to tell you to
convince them that we are the prophets. Like this is what the prophets. When we can do that, but once scripture say a heretic after the first and second admonition reject.
Yeah.
So we'll come out with the rough garment, with the border of blue, fringes, with the scriptures, with the Hebrew, the Greek, the English. We'll interpret it for you. And if you still can't get it, it's not our job to keep going back and forth with you to make you get it. If we can't make you get it, the Lord said that his house is a little sanctuary, and that he was going to put us in remembrance.
Yep.
And he's going to give us a mouth of wisdom which none of our adversaries will be able to gain, tear, or resist. So therefore, the formula is very simple.
Yeah.
You can't get it. If you can't get right, then you can't get it. You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll stress over it, sometimes we won't. Most of the time we won't.
Yeah,
especially when you mature. Go ahead.
Yeah, the scriptures bear, or the Spirit beareth witness that we're the prophets. We don't need your damn approval, right? Now, if you come up and you sincerely asking questions, you know, we'll deal with you. But most people just come up, you know, thinking we owe them an explanation, or we got to go back and forth with them, or we really got to convince them. Just by us preaching the word, the Spirit is already gonna come on. If you're a part of the elect, the Spirit is going to come upon you to listen to the prophets. Be quiet and listen to the prophets, all right? It's not going to be a back and forth. You're not going to be scoffing. You're not going to be ask disingenuous questions, all right? You're going to believe, you see?
And eventually, if you are the elect, you're gonna believe eventually anyway.
Right.
So it just might take time. All right?
Yeah, we're not gonna trim our way to seek love and sugarcoat things and, you know, try to make a world-friendly doctrine. That's not of Yahweh Shai, man. We're supposed to be separate from this world. These scriptures are separate from this world. That's why you got to be transformed within the renewing of your mind. You can't come into the truth clinging on to Western ideologies, Western philosophies, you know, saying you were Israelite, but then you still celebrating Christmas, or you put in long ass hair, or putting rap music into the truth. Yeah, that's not our custom. Our custom isn't wearing belly shirt garments everywhere, man.
Yeah, or you know.
Coin I came up with a term like belly shirt garment. Yeah, garment down to the foot. So we're simulating our ancestors' garments. Yep. Us back in the flesh. All right, well back there in the flesh. You know, prophets as a prophet, where the prophets wear rough garments. Meaning they're not expensive. All right, they're very cost effective. Put together easily, all right? And you have the fringes in the border of blue, as according to the law. All right, so you read this precept, and you are ignorant, right?
Yeah.
Let me read the last two. It says, wherefore, brethren, covet prophecy, and forbid not to speak with tongues. That's why we go into the Hebrew, we go into the Greek. All right? Let all things be done decently and in order. We dictate to you what the narrative is, because we're the prophets, we're the teachers. So when you come into us, we're here for your benefit, not to negotiate. All right, simple as that. The elect are going to see, as it is written, that Yahweh Shai said that my sheep hear my voice. Simple as that. My sheep hear my voice. So if the frequency is palatable, you recognize it, then you'll get on board. You know, you'll get on board because you're ignorant. See, these people that know all this shit, those are the hard-headed motherfuckers that not gonna come into the faith. The scripture says that you got to become like a little child. So these guys that think they know every goddamn thing, more than likely they ain't gonna come into the faith.
Yeah,
because they think they can analyze the scriptures and they should have already known it already. They so damn smart. They would have already got it already. The Lord ain't dealing with them. The Lord said he's dealing with not many noble. Roughly paraphrase, you got to find that scripture. Not many mighty. So your high education doesn't equate to the prophecy.
Yeah.
The mind of the Lord says we had the mind of the Yahweh Shai.
That's it.
All right. Ignorant. Look up ignorant.
Gone.
That's ignorance. You got this high level of what you think is education. You're really ignorant.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead.
Gone. So it said ignorant within the Greek. Agna ao.
You're a private person, okay? You lack knowledge. Go ahead.
It says to be ignorant, to not know, to not understand. Unknown, it says to err or sin through mistake, or it says to be wrong. Yeah. It also says to not to know through lack of information or intelligence.
Right. Yeah. So you haven't. This knowledge is not the same knowledge you can just understand by simply reading. Or be it you're academic, you're into the maths, you can't get it. All right? You gotta come up under teaching.
That's it.
A lot of people lie, they watch videos, then they come up with their own doctrine after they watch the videos. But you would have never even came with your own doctrine if they didn't watch the videos.
Right.
And then you adulterated what you were taught from the videos. You know? And they think, you can learn one word and that you can come up with doctrine off of the one word. But then you act like you came up with your doctrine yourself, even though your doctrine is wrong. You got to teach what we teach. All right? You can't come up with your own doctrine. So the scripture said heretic. That's a person that makes up his own doctrine, makes up his own word, his own religion. Heretic. All right? You have your own words that you're speaking instead of the words that we spoke. Which is the words that Yahweh, the disciples spoke, and the words that the apostles spoke and wrote down. So we're reading the same thing, and we're giving you the right interpretation.
Right, and that's the key, right? The right interpretation. You got people that think that the understanding of the Bible is subjective. You read a scripture and how you interpret it, they think that, okay, that's your interpretation, or you follow in your heart when you read the scriptures. And that's completely demonic, because that's why people think when they read John 3:16, that's talking about saving the heathen. Everybody including the heathen. But if you're not getting taught the correct breakdown of what that actually means by a prophet, you could easily be under that assumption, under that mindset.
Right. These are regular people. These are not highly religious people. They're going about their day. They don't want to seem too extreme. We considered extremists.
Yeah.
And we actually go out into the streets like Yahweh Shai did, and his apostles, his disciples did. Instead of just staying in the church, we actually go out into the field work. They just stay, typing on the computer, so to speak. They don't have. They didn't take it that far. Yeah. We're supposed to take it that far. Because we're replicating what our ancestors did. It tells you that in Matthew the 10th chapter.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be seeking the Lord. You're supposed to be actually doing the best you can to seek the truth, right? Not following what everybody else is doing, right? Not, because when brothers come into the truth, one of the main things they want to know, okay, what's the true name of the Lord, right? You got people saying Jesus, Yeshua, all different types of different madness, right? But then if you really, if the Spirit's working with you and you really diligent in seeking out the truth, eventually you're gonna find, okay, Yahweh Shai, right? You're an Israelite. You're not gonna cling on to what everybody else is doing just because everybody thinks is wrong. You understand that most of the world wasn't given the truth. The Lord is only dealing with a remnant. The remnant that's seeking for the Lord, that's working out their salvation through fear and trembling. You see? And they're gonna do, you're gonna do whatever you can to Lord's will. Get on that chariot. You're not gonna cut corners, do shortcuts, right? Do not take the high holy days serious to the best of your ability. You're gonna take things serious, because this thing is, when you understand the truth, you understand that this is life or death. This isn't just a trend, a cosplay, or just a good information to know. This is salvation. This is who we are. All right. This is who we go back to. All right.
It says 1 Corinthians 1:18. It says, "For the preaching of the cross is of them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved, it is the power of the Most High." Yeah. Again, ultimately, you of course had that lady come up, ultimately asking us, why, of course, we were out here. And but as it says, "For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish of foolishness, but unto us which are saved, it is the power of the Most High." Yes, ultimately, it's a power of Yahweh Bashim Yashai, for us to be out here. And ultimately, it's part of the Lord's commandments, first for us to teach, the nation of Israel.
Yeah. Get to Matthew 10.
Come.
Not to mention, the lady said that she had her own platform, which was going off. All right, a woman isn't supposed to be teaching the scriptures at all, or going into the scriptures. All right, you're supposed to be learning from a man and being at home, and we're not supposed. You're supposed to be silent. Your mouth supposed to be zipped. All right, go ahead.
God, it says Matthew 10 and 5. It says, well, I guess
You
we
put
start
these 12.
These 12. Come. It says, now the names. Matthew 10 and 2. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who was called.
You can go down. It says down these 12.
Okay, gone. It says verse 5. It says, "These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any of the city." It's like it says, "And into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." It says, and as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So, ultimately, this was literally is a commandment, for the sermons of Yahweh Bashim Yashab, the prophets, as it says, And as you go, preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So again, this right here is a commandment, for us to do it. So, really it shows, of course, our people's ignorance, for them to not know the scripture. It says, verse 8, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. Yeah, so ultimately, Lord has freely given us the truth. So, freely, of course, we're of course going to give it.
Yeah, Yahweh Shai going to provide. And we're going to be back in our full power in the day of the Lord's power. It says Psalms 110. In the day of the Lord's power, we're going to have greater than what the apostles had back then. We're going to have everything that Yahweh Shai said in that statement. We're going to have that, and we're going to have greater than what John, Paul, Barnabas, Peter had. All right?
God says, going back. It says 1 Corinthians 1 and 18, it says, for the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved it is the power of the Most High. Yeah, again, showing you that truly it's about it. It's about the elect, because ultimately, as scriptures say, the elect are going to hear, but ultimately, the Lord's going to shut up those who of course aren't predestined to receive this word. But ultimately the Lord's going to shut their eyes and close their ears.
That's it. And us actually, coming out here and doing the work of the Lord, they're just going to view us as, oh, these guys are, religious extremists, right? These guys are doing too much this and that, because, in this world was generally, they'll respect maybe if you're somewhat religious, but as long as you're lukewarm. But when you're really serious about what you're preaching and really serious about what they'll say that you're crazy, this guy's this guy's that, because hey, they're not willing to be transformed, right? They're not willing to put off the old man, right, and put on the new, which goes into fully being persuaded within the renewing of your mind that this is the truth, right? Doing the work. Go ahead.
It says 1 Corinthians 1 and 19, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. It says, where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath thou the Most High made foolish the wisdom of this world?
Yeah, what's the wisdom of the wise? All these degrees, bachelor's degrees, master degrees, right? That's why, the black woman's so damn prideful, because all they do, they want to get a bachelor or master's degree, and ultimately they just think they got all this knowledge above you, that you're just below them,
Esau,
yeah.
He's supposed to be the wise man of the earth.
Right.
And everything that his knowledge is not going to be able to deliver him in the day of the Lord's wrath. Yep. It's not going to be able to make the Israelites look like so-called white people. That image is not going to last. It's being destroyed now. The true people of Yahweh Shai, the true people of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, are not so-called hill-flesh people living in the land of Israel right now. All right?
Yep.
You're not going to be able to deliver you out of you being burnt with fire. Scripture say, burn her flesh. Another with fire, if you paraphrase it. That's not the knowledge that Esau has. Is not going to be able to deliver him out of that destruction. Give me 2 Timothy. Three. 2 Timothy, 1 Timothy 4 and 8. I'll read all the way down.
God, it says 1 Timothy 4 and 8, for bodily exercise profited little, but godliness is profitable unto all things. It says, having promise of the life that now is, and of that which is to come.
Yeah, the promise. Because the Church of Israel will promise the kingdom. Right? The promise the kingdom of heaven to rule all the nations. As it was written in Isaiah and in the law. What?
It says, 1 Timothy 4 and 9, this is a faithful saying and worthy of all acceptation. For therefore we both labor and suffer reproach, because we trust in the living power, who is the Savior of all men, especially of those that believe.
Yeah, look up suffer reproach.
Gone. So suffer reproach.
That we labor and suffer reproach.
Gone. So the Greek word, it says onidizo, meaning says the reproach, upbraid, revile, of deserved reproach, of unreserved reproach. To revile.
Can't say the same word.
Yeah, con.
You gotta break the word down.
Yeah, con. Yeah, so it says Greek word is onidizo, to reproach, upbraid, revile. It says of deserved reproach, to upbraid, and
you gotta break it down to a lesser word. So you can't just repeat it the same word that was in the English. I heard upbraid. You gotta break it down simpler than upbraid. Break it down simpler than reproach.
Yeah, con. It says to defame.
What is that? What? To defame.
Yeah, to defame.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, mean what? It says, for therefore we both labor and suffer reproach. Meaning, of course, that the sermons of Yahweh about Shem Yahshai are, of course, gonna be defamed for prophesying his word. It says, for therefore we both labor and suffer reproach because we trust in the living power. Yes, so just because we of course, trust in the living power and, do what he of course, command us to do, well, of course, we are defamed for that. It says, who is the Savior of all men, especially of those that believe. So there you have it.
Look up the word reproach in the dictionary.
Gone.
I got the etymology for reproach. It says reproach, a rebuke, blame, censure directed against a person, also object of scorn or contempt, state of disgrace. It says Old French reproach, blame, shame, to blame, bring up against.
Shame, blame, all right, defame. Shame, blame, and defame. It says, therefore we both labor and suffer reproach. So they're supposed to be talking shit about us, all right? Yeah. That's how you know who the prophets are, all right? That's one key point. For therefore we both labor and suffer reproach.
Yep.
Shame, blame,
yep.
defame, because we trust in the living God, who is the Savior of all men, especially of those that believe. All right.
Right.
And all men is referring to the Israelites, not referring to every nation on earth. Because every nation on earth is going into slavery under the Israelites. All right. These things command and teach. So we know that the Israelites are going to be the new supremacists over the planet Earth. So it is a true Israelite supremacy, because it says these things command and teach. All right. It doesn't have to use the word Israelite. It doesn't have to use the word Judah. All right. It says these things command and teach. Yeah. So we do command and teach that the Lord is a savior of all men, especially those that believe. So we know that we are going to be delivered. The Israelites are going to be delivered. All the nations are not going to be delivered. So the all men here is referring to what? The Israelites that are in those different nations.
Right.
All right, that are in those Greco-Roman nations, that are in those Elamite nations, that are in those Arabian nations, those Moabite nations. All right. So if we're all going to be saved, okay? If we're all going to be saved, the Bible is explicitly teaching that the Israelites only are going to be saved. All right? Because it told us these things. It said these things command and teach.
Yep.
All right?
I got a precept.
So it can't be talking about all the nations under heaven. It's referring because the nations that are under heaven are going into slavery under the Israelites, as saith the law, as saith the prophecies. Go ahead, yeah, precept.
Yep.
You start from 12 after we're done.
God, this is the book of Ephesians 2:11. It says, wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands.
Yeah, you had circumcised Israelites looking down on Israelites that were uncircumcised. You had circumcised Israelites that were looking down on uncircumcised heathen Israelites.
Right.
Right? That were coming back to the faith. Go ahead.
Verse 12, that at that time ye were without Hamashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel.
Yeah, because they were uncircumcised. They didn't have the knowledge of who they were, who they are.
Yep. And strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without Yahweh in the world, but now in Hamashiach Yahushai, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Hamashiach.
Yeah, them that were far off. Give me a precept that says, bless to him that was far off and to him that is near. Find that precept. It's in Isaiah. You say where you at. Read it again.
Okay. This is the book of Ephesians 2.
Peace. Them that are far off and that are near. Read it again.
Ephesians 2 and 13. But now in Hamashiach Yahushai, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Hamashiach.
Yeah, so that broke down the middle wall partition. All right, and brought Israel back to the uncircumcised Israelites back to the fold, back to the sheepfold. Go ahead.
Yep. Verse 14, for he is our peace, who hath made both one and hath broken down the middle wall of partition.
I forgot that was in there. Where you were reading that?
Ephesians 2.
Yeah, Ephesians. Yeah. I forgot that was in there.
Yep.
I just quoted it, but I forgot. I didn't know what chapter was in. Go ahead.
Now, verse 14, for he is our peace, who hath made both one and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances.
Yeah, meaning it's saying you have to be circumcised on the 8th day. You have to appear before the Lord 3 times a year. If you commit witchcraft, you're going to get put to death. These are the things that were sins unto death, which that partition that separated. I mean, you allocate space. In the tech world, you mean you allocate a certain amount of space. Partition, create a partition. You can create multiple partitions on the same hard drive. So that wall was there, all right? That said that you were in a certain group and you couldn't escape that group because of your actions.
Yep.
All right? Go ahead.
Yeah. Verse 15, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace, and that he might reconcile both unto Yahweh in one body by the cross.
Yeah, so the partition is still there, it's just the uncircumcision joined the circumcision.
Right.
And now we're in a partition, because we're still separate from the other nations. That's separate, part. All right, part, of a whole, like you got the so-called human race. We're still partitioned away from the other nations. They can't receive salvation.
Yep.
They're not a part of our partition. All right? We have the biggest partition in this reality, all right, on earth, all right, in our universe. Go ahead.
Yep. Verse 16, and that he might reconcile both unto Yahweh in one body by the cross.
Reconcile.
Yep.
Reconcile.
Yep.
We gotta break that down.
Yeah.
Because
all right, kind. It says, having slain the enmity thereby, and came and preached peace to you which were afar off, and to them that were nigh.
No, you stop right there.
Yep.
All right, so read what you have.
Isaiah 57 and 19, it says, I create the fruit of the lips, peace to him that is far off, or that is far off, and to him that is near, say the Lord Yahweh, and I will heal him.
Yeah, peace was it shalom, or what was there, something else?
Yeah, the Hebrew word is shalom.
Yeah, so you had Israelites that were dwelling in other nations, that were dwelling in Greece, in Corinth, in Athens, in Sparta. All right, and they were adopted the customs of the heathen. Okay? They were in the gyms. All right, they were into homosexuality. They were into worshiping the Greek gods. All right, and you had Israelites amongst all the nations that were scattered. All right. Israel always was in other nations, small partitions of Israelites in different groups in Europe and in Africa. All right, I think that was it there. So go to what recognized was that recompense.
Reconcile.
Reconcile.
Yeah.
What was the chapter?
All right, so yeah. So it's Ephesians 2:16.
Recompense. And then you look it up in a dictionary, recompense. The etymology. You look it up in the Greek. Recompense. Because words mean things. It just don't mean what you want it to mean. It means what it means to. All right, and we also mix it with the spirit. All right, so we know that when Paul is speaking, he's not speaking of something new. He's speaking of something that was already written in the prophecy and in the law. He didn't make up a new doctrine where new other nations that were actually actual heathens could come into the faith. All right? That's a false doctrine where they can new people that weren't actual Japhites can come into the faith. No, only Israelites that were scattered amongst the Japhites. All right? Greek.
Slucky, which one?
Reconcile. Ephesians 2:16.
Gonzo, it says, yeah. It says reconcile. In the Greek word is, it says, yeah, apokalasso. It says, it says to reconcile completely, it says bring back.
He gonna read it anyway. So
Gone. It says to reconcile completely, to reconcile back again. It says bring back a former state of harmony.
There we go. That's the best definition. Reconcile completely and read the last one again.
It says bring back a former state of harmony.
Bring back a former state of harmony. Bring back completely, bring back a former state of harmony. So we never had a former state of harmony in which the other nations were keeping the laws, which they are righteous. Let's say in Romans 7 it says the law is holy, just, and good. So the law is not going to be done away with. The law hasn't been done away with. It's just on pause until we get perfect bodies, and then we're going to be able to keep the law perfectly. All right, it's paused. All right, because the scripture says the law is going to be in our mind. So we know what adultery is going to be, no wicked thoughts. There's going to be no unlawful foods. The Leviticus 11th chapter going to be eaten, going to automatically know it, recognize it once we hear it. Even though our body's not going to be able to commit sin anyway. Once we're taught and raised up, we're going to be perfect.
Yep. So this is reconcile in the etymology. It says mid 14th century, reconciling, transitive in reference to persons, to restore to union and friendship.
Restore to union. All right, reconcile completely, to bring back a former relationship of harmony. Bring back a relationship of harmony. Concord. Go ahead.
Yep. To restore to union and friendship after estrangement or variance.
Estranged. Okay, is that 2 and 11 of Ephesians? Estranged from the Commonwealth of Israel. Okay. Like 50-something years old. Still doing, he got grazing in his beard. Yeah, he's trying to have fun on the weekends. Friday and Saturday. Trying to turn up. That's all you got to do, man. Spend your money where you want, but you know there's a price to pay for not paying attention. Go ahead.
Yep. It says also of Yahweh or Hamashiach, restore to favor or grace. It says to bring together again.
Restore. Okay, R-E. All right, it's Latin, right? It's Latin, R-E. Restore.
Yep.
Yeah, really so.
It says from Latin reconciliare, to bring together again, regain, win over again, conciliate.
Yeah, so the thing is, then these useful idiots will argue that don't mean anything. All right. The garden, we were different. We were all in the garden. Okay. The point is, first of all, we were all supposed to be in the garden. It was paradise. Earth was meant to be a paradise. All right. But then there was a partition made, and our people actually got cast out of the garden. All right. But we were going to come back. It's just the hero's journey. That's all it is. When you look it up, here's the hero's journey. They get it from the scriptures. Esau didn't make it up. The Greek Israelites probably made discovered it, meaning pulled back the veil.
No, that's right.
All right, and then put it into print. The hero's journey. When Edomite came up with that thing. It was already evident anyway. The hero's journey was already a reality carried out. All right? That's what there was. We were all in the garden, but there was a division with the sons of God, the sons of the wicked, and the sons of men. All right? So you had different classifications in the garden. And the first people to get cast out were, I believe, the Israelites. All right? Or the sons of God. All right? By the way, whether we were the first or not, we definitely were cast out. All right? But then we came back. Go ahead.
Yep. That was it.
Yeah, those are excellent definitions. And that's what it means. So once you know that, you don't have to, you put the word "re" in front of it every time. You're going to say console.
Yeah.
Because now you've established what the subject matter is, what the theme is. So you don't have, you don't have to keep saying Israelite, or Judah all the time. You can just say you're going to be saved, but you already have the prophecy and the law for context. You don't have to say every single place. You don't have to say R-E in front of it. You want to say something?
Yeah, because when people take things out of context in the scriptures all the time, like when they certain times where a prophet is writing specifically to Israelites, and it says all men. It's not talking about all men on the face of the earth, right? It's talking about all. Yeah. Like if I was just to say all of us, I'm not talking about the whole entire globe. I'm just talking about us three brothers in the camp, because we're pretty much talking amongst each other. You see?
Go to Leviticus, where it said. Deuteronomy 27.
Yep.
And 15. Now again, there's context if you read up, but if you put it in a vacuum, you're going to apply it to anybody. But if you don't put it in context, you apply it to anybody. 27 and 15.
Yeah, this is the book of Deuteronomy 27 and 15. Cursed be the man that maketh any graven or molten image, an abomination unto the Lord, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and putteth it in a secret place, and all the people shall answer and say, Amen.
Yeah, it's not talking about the whole earth. But the first statement is true, because you are under a curse, even if you're not Israelite. But people here, that's not talking about all people, but this is addressed to Israelites anyway.
Yep.
All right, continue to read.
Yep. Verse 16, it says, Cursed be he that setteth light by his father or his mother, and all the people shall say, Amen.
All the people call.
Yep.
I am Amen. All the people. Literally, it says all the people call.
Right.
I am Amen. I mean, come on. Read it. Continue.
Yep. Verse 17. Cursed be he that removeth his neighbor's landmark, and all the people shall say, Amen.
See, well, that's the other nations. And then who's agreeing? The Israelites.
Right.
Because they're under the curse. The people that removed the landmark. Now go to the 26th verse.
Verse 26, Cursed be he that confirmeth not all the words of this law to do them, and all the people shall say, Amen.
So I guess all people on earth got to keep the laws too. No, they don't have to keep the laws. They will. Right now, they're not supposed to be keeping the laws. They're keeping it in the kingdom. Because they'll be under the authority, the whole total supremacy of the Israelites. All right? All the people call, I am Amen. Again, so all the people. So is that talking about all the people on earth? Can somebody look that up in the Hebrew? Call.
Gone. It says, call. It says the whole, all. Well, it says the whole of. It says every anything. It also says totality.
Right. Yeah, but it has to be the subject. It has to be a subject. It has to be pointing at a direction of all. All right. It's within context of the precept of the law, right? Or the prophecy. Right? All.
Yep.
And then the Greek gives you a better. Well, is it more?
It also says all together, and it says
All together. That's a good point. All together. All together doesn't mean everybody on the earth. It has to be a context.
Yep.
It's within context.
Yep. Yeah, I got some. So this is just a couple.
What John, all the went out to the wilderness, was baptized in the wilderness.
God, yeah, I got two scriptures just going into context. Ephesians, this because we was reading the book of Ephesians. Ephesians 1:1. Paul in
By the way, this is all simple stuff.
Yeah.
By the way. This is not complicated or deep.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Well, it might be to be ignorant.
It says, Paul, an apostle of Yahushua HaMashiach, by the will of Yahweh, to the saints which are at Ephesus, and to the faithful in Hamashiach Yahushua, which we know the saints are the Israelites. And I want to get the book of Romans 1:7. It says, to all that be in Rome, beloved of Yahweh,
Context. There you go.
called to be saints, grace to you and peace from Yahweh our Father and the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. So that's what it's going into, the saints, the Israelites, uncircumcised Israelites and the circumcised Israelites, those that were brought up into the customs of being an Israelite and those that weren't. That's all that is going into.
Yeah, we used to have heated debates about
Yeah.
this all thing on Market Street. Heated debates. You know? Whether it's talking about everybody or just the Israelites.
Yeah.
Now and then they don't really argue with us too much. I mean, these dead women and whatever. But Philly, they used to, man, on Market Street, they used to have this infinity debates. You know, we know they weren't going to get it, but you know, it's they're full with different teachings of the world, the devil's doctrine. They've been taught since they were youth up to accept everybody, and they only actually believe that shit anyway. But when it comes to religion, they wouldn't seem like they're righteous, especially in the public when they're being recorded. All right, and they're fools. Our people are fools. Scripture say how people are your Sodom's children. Is Jacob a homeborn slave? All right, go ahead.
it says Matthew 3:1. In those days came John the Baptist, preaching in the wilderness of Judea and saying, repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It says, for this is he that was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, saying, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight.
Yeah, that's talking about John, making whose path straight to Yahushua. Go ahead.
It says, verse 4, and the same John had his raiment of camel's hair. It says, and a leathern girdle about his loins,
That was a rough garment the prophets wore.
and his meat was locusts and wild honey. Then went out to him Jerusalem and all Judea and all and all the region round about Jordan. It says, and were baptized of him in Jordan, confessing their sins.
Now look up
Gone. So
apostle upon in Greek.
yeah, so the Greek word is pas. It says it says individually.
Individually. All right, so all is referring to a group of people, individually separated from separated from other groups. So all of this group, individually.
It says each, every, any, the whole, everyone, all things,
Right,
everything.
then it can expand to everything, like the whole world is going to be subject to the mark, the charagma. All right. Go ahead.
It says collectively some of all types.
Yeah, some of all types. All right. So you're going to have Israelites that are in different nations that are going to be gathered. All right, for destruction and salvation. What? Some of all types.
Gone. So
Yeah, some of all types. The moral.
it says all or any that are of the class indicated by the noun.
There you go.
basic, yeah.
Noun is a person, place, or thing.
Yeah.
That's what I learned in elementary school. Noun is a person, place, or thing.
Right.
So we're talking about people here. All right.
Specific
Or we could say
class.
place,
Yep.
America, all of Babylon, America will be destroyed. Or you could say the earth, you could say the earth is destroyed. No, but what proportion of the earth? America, the land of Israel. But you can use the word all. The earth sure real to and fro like a drunk, but the whole earth is going to shake. All right? But what's going to shake and be destroyed? The land of Israel and Babylon, America. All right?
It also says, Khan. It also says.
So we have to point to somewhere, to point direction toward. All right? Two. Go ahead.
It says. Khan. It also says. It's like yeah. So pause in the Greek and other definition. It says blessings of every kind. So especially with nouns designating. It says virtues or vices, emotions, character, condition, to indicate every mode in which such virtue, vice, or emotion manifests itself, or any object, whatever, to which the idea expressed by the noun belongs. So of course, also adding in further context.
Now, so it's referring to the Israelites that came out to the John to be baptized. All right, but the whole Judah didn't come out. All right, it was some of all types. All right, you had some Pharisees, you had some Sadducees, you had some poor people, some rich people, some middle class people, some people that were traveling into the land of Israel for a holy day, you know. But not every single person from Judah came to John's baptism. Some more you want to add, or?
Yeah, that's it.
I got some.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the book of Romans 9:3. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Hamashiach, for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants.
Yep, to whom pertaineth the adoption. So you would have to say that the other nations pertain to the adoption for your fucking doctrine to work. They don't work like that.
Yeah.
To whom pertaineth the adoption?
How would Ephesians 2:11 make sense if that was talking about the heathen?
Yeah.
You know,
Grafted in.
you were Gentiles, made Gentiles, right? According to the flesh, right? How it worded it, right? So going into, you were made Gentiles because you were clinging on to the ways of the heathen. You were following the ways of the heathen, right? Going outside of the covenant that I made with your people, the Israelites. That's what it's going into. The heathens was already being wicked, doing their own thing. All right, because they were never given the laws, statutes, commandments, the promise. Right, there was nothing for them to be redeemed from. You see?
Yeah, so I remember 10 years ago, it was either Apostle or it was Elder Malcolm used one of my videos, and I was going into grafted in, and it was an Edomite. He was cut into a tree, and he was putting a branch on there, and it grafted into the branch. And the Edomite was saying that you can't. It will be much harder to graft in, or you can't graft in, like a very dissimilar branch into another type of species of plant or a tree.
Right.
All right, and that totally proves it. The grafting in is only referring to the Israelites that became wild, and but because they're still Israelites, they can be grafted in. All right, but a Hamite or an Egyptian or a Philistine, which is an Egyptian, or a Cushite, all right, a Babylonian can't graft in because it's too dissimilar. Only similar grafts will take. So if you were from the Northern Kingdom, or you were a Judite that became a heathen in Greece or Rome, you're still similar. Yep. You're not too dissimilar. You can be grafted in because your father's still Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You have to be all three: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
There you go.
One of the seeds that was established from the children of the holy line. All right. Good.
Yep. Verse 4, it says, "Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the."
Look up adoption. Where you at? Verse you went?
Romans 9:4. Yep. Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Yahweh and the promises.
The glory and the covenants. This is covenants. You gotta look up covenants too.
Yep.
There's a plural form and a singular form in Greek. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it should be. Yeah. Covenant. So it's only two covenants. Are there more than two covenants? There's only 2 covenants. The first covenant that came in through via circumcision, Genesis 17th chapter.
Yep.
All right. Then the penalties were on pause, and then the second covenant going to come in. So we're in between. So it's on pause. So then when the new covenant fully comes in, then we'll be able to keep the law perfectly in our mind because we have perfect vessels. All right, go ahead.
Gone. So it says adoption, it says hui o thesia, meaning gone. It says adoption as sons. That relationship which the Most High was pleased to establish between himself and the Israelites in preference to all other nations.
Yes, in preference to all other nations. In preference. So the Lord prefers his firstborn as first created, which Yahushua created us. Right? So we're his son. So Yahushua is both a father and a son. All right? He's a father and a son. All right? So he technically is our father. Right? Because he created us. Right? But Yahushua is special. He's our brother and our father, and he's a son, the son of Yahweh, the Father. All right?
It says the nature and condition of the true disciples in the Mashiach, who by receiving the Spirit of the Most High into the souls become sons of the Most High.
Yeah, those are the uncircumcised Israelites, not random people that believe. But it could be random people that believe that are Israelites. Right? But not just some random person. No, he's a Greek. Yawan, believe in a Greek. Oh no, if he's actually Yawan, come from the seed of Yawan, from the table of nations, to Genesis 10th chapter, he is not of the seed that's going to be delivered. Seed, the church, is not the church of the promise. As it's written, seed of, not seeds of many, but a seed of one, even Isaac. Right? Isaac was chosen, and then Jacob was chosen from Isaac. What?
It says, yet a placing as a son, i.e. adoption, figuratively Christian sonship in respect to the Most High. So,
right. Well, the actual Christians are the Israelites. Our Christian sonship. Right. So the Israelites are the ones that receive the glory, the giving of the law, and both covenants. So look up covenants. It should be a plural form and singular form in Greek. Covenant. So it's talking about 2 covenants. Jeremiah 31:31. Jeremiah 31:31.
Gone. So Greek word for covenants, it says diatheke. Yeah. It says
get the plural form and the singular form. It should be 2 forms.
gone. It says gone. It says a disposition, arrangement of any sort, which it says which one wishes to be valid. The last disposition which one makes of his earthly possessions after his death, a testament or will.
Yeah, after death. So we're supposed to keep it. We're supposed to keep the covenants, or the covenant. Right? And the second covenant we're going to keep perfectly. Right? So it's a contract, a will. Right?
It says it says a compact. The Most High's covenant with Noah, etc. It also says a contract, especially divisory will. And it says, for the word covenant is used to denote the close relationship which the Most High entered into, first with Noah, then Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their posterity.
Give me the Greek forms. It should be the word there and then the word inflected.
Gone.
So the word there is covenant, so then it's the word inflected.
Yeah.
So it should be similar word, but the ending probably changed, or the beginning maybe changed. Probably the ending probably will change. So diatheke, all right, for in general a covenant, all right. The word should be slightly altered to express plurality. If I'm not mistaken.
Gone. So it says, diatheke, and it's like it says diathekai, and then you have
The word there, diathekai,
Yeah, that's the word used there.
that's the word used here, and the word inflected is.
The word inflected is
diatheke.
diatheke. Yeah.
There you go. All right, here we go. So it's 2 covenants. All right, there are 2 covenants, and they both, according to Romans 9th chapter, and according to the law and the prophets, they belong to the Israelites. All right, they don't belong to the other nations. And what doesn't Daniel say he would not give to other people? The book of Daniel. So how it's not going to work there. It's not going to work out the way you think it's going to work out, because remember with the Iran situation, Iran is going to lead to a 3rd World War. Whether it died down or not, it's going to eventually lead to a 3rd World War. Before the 3rd World War takes place, life in our country, various countries around the world, is going to become increasingly harder. All right, they want to do that universal basic income. They want to do the. Microchip. The microchip is the mark of the beast. All right. That's going to come to pass. That's going to be the new medium of exchange, of currency. Currency means what's current. All right. It could be gold, silver. It could be paper notes. It could be electronic currency like on a debit card or your phone. Eventually, it's going to evolve into, or de-evolve, depending on how you look at it, into a cylindrical microchip or a flat microchip that's going to be put in the right hand, all right, or the left hand. If the hand is the most convenient, please tap. Because normally you would have a wallet in your hand or a card. So the hand, the meat right here, between the pointer finger, I believe, and the thumb, that's the ideal spot for it to be. So that's going to be where the chip's going to go to make purchases. And that's in Revelation 13, 16 on down, or really 15. But Esau Edom, he puts his laws into effect very gradually. A great event happens, and then like in 2001, Patriot Act 1 and 2, National Defense Authorization Act 1 and 2. Homeland Security, there was no Homeland Security, there was no TSA before 2001. Then those agencies came into being. And certain private companies made a lot of money off of TSA. There was no damn TSA, all that shit, there wasn't no TSA. Going before the towers, the Twin Towers in New York, the World Trade Centers fell. So that dramatic event, that catastrophe took place, and it changed laws and how the American government did business. So if this new system's going to come in through some sort of catastrophe, some sort of crisis. All right, gotta wait. What y'all got?
Yeah. I just looked up, why that area is used. Yeah, for the chips.
Okay.
It says why the area when it says why that area when it is used, and that's the main place where they put it. It says soft tissue, easier and less painful to insert. It says low movement stress, less chance of the chip shifting or breaking. It says safe zone, fewer major nerves, vessels compared to fingertips. It says accessible for scanning, easy to place near a reader. So we are. Of course, we know, ultimately, it's like it says also, these are short-range, passive chips like key cards under the skin. So ultimately, we understand how Esau wants to make it, we're it's like seamless, again for the people to take it. So he's gonna, of course, find the easiest spot for people to take it, which that's the spot that he chooses. Or ultimately, it's of the Lord, because it says in Revelation chapter 13 and 16 how he's going to cause all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a mark in the right hand or in the forehead. So it's already prophesied that will happen. So that's it on that.
Yeah, prophecy. Ephesians 1 and 5 talks about prophecy. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Whatever you got, Scott, you read.
Well, I have Revelation 13 since all right. Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Yeah, it was resurrected from the dead, the authority to force his will on the people. And this is New Rome, New Egypt, New Sodom. All right. And it's actually going to work. that the mark is going to go out. All right, it's going to affect everybody on the earth. All right, go ahead.
Yep. Verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Yeah, so if you're in a so-called developing nation where you have access to electricity and buying and selling electronically, you're subject to microchipping. All right, you're subject to it. All right.
Yep. Verse 16, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Right. Chi Xi stigma. All right. Chi Xi stigma. All right, which is 666. That's Esau's number. Like I've said before in a few videos, I don't know when Esau started recognizing the number, but when they started printing, I guess during the Industrial Revolution, Esau started to, or after the Industrial Revolution, during America's coming into technology, they started to use the 666. All right, started to use it. I'm sure if I did some deep research, it might go back to the 1600s or 1500s. All right, but Esau started adopting that word, adopting those numbers. But that's how you know that those are evidence that you have an elite. You have an elite working behind your normal traditional government. Like you had the Greco-Roman Empire, you had the king, you had the kings and the Senate, and the so-called democracy and the republic and all that. But you had people behind them that were ruling back then. The same thing you have now. You have the secret hand that's working behind the scenes from the so-called traditional government. You got people that are behind the scenes that are making the rules, giving orders, that are controlling the actual government back in the ancient world. And you got the same thing happening right now. Right? So they use that. That's one of the numbers they use is the Chi Xi stigma. All right. And the word there for mark is charagma, which is different from a regular mark. All right. In that context, it's referring to a microchip. All right. In that context of Revelation 13:15 on down, that word is referring to a microchip. All right. When you look at the word, it means a thing's carved, cutting into a mark branded upon horses. So it says in 2026, or modern times, how would you affect a charagma on a person? It would be in the form of a chip.
Yep.
All right. How do you receive a charagma? You're either going to receive a burned-in tattoo that's going to make you buy and sell, all right, or you're going to receive a microchip. All right. The microchip didn't exist back then. All right. So either you're going to get branded with a burn mark on your arm, or on your hand, or your head. You're going to get a burn mark. All right, and you'll be able to use that mark to buy and sell, or you're going to get microchips with a flat or cylindrical microchip. All right, we believe it's the microchip,
Right.
flat or cylindrical microchip. All right, because the word existed before 2026, charagma, and it gives you what it was, how it was used back then. So in modern times, you're not going to get branded by a hot iron, right? And you'll be able to go up, you don't got to burn my. Well, I can just fucking tattoo it on my arm. Or what you call it, a temporary tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
Right? By the way, even if I can do that or not, if you got that mark, you'll be able to buy and sell. And if you don't have it, the penalty is if you get caught. All right, if you get caught, that's what it all comes down to. If you get caught without that mark, which we believe is a microchip, you're subject to being put to death. One way you could get put to death is get your head chopped off. All right. Chi Xi stigma and charagma. Charagma is the Greek word for mark. Charagma. That is the microchip. That is the mark of the beast. All right. Mark branded upon horses. but you're not going to do that in modern times. You're going to give them an electronic device, a chip that you're able to buy and sell. So that would be going backwards in currency technology, a brand. All right? So it makes sense for it to be a microchip. Is that it?
That was it.
That was it? You got something?
Yeah, Khan. So I looked up, all usages in ancient and modern times of 666. So it says Roman era, so it was used in the 1st century. It says Nero Caesar, name written in Hebrew numerics equals 666, used as a code of reference to imperial authority. So I guess it says it's limited direct usage for medieval times, but it says early modern 1500s to 1500s to 18.
That's some numerical value. That's not how the word was used.
Well, I just looked up 666.
Right, yeah. Oh, 666. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. High stigma. Yeah. So whether that's true or not, it could be true. That because a lot of people say that Donald Trump is Emperor Nero. So that could be true. The numerical value of Nero. What is it? Is it just his name or something else?
It says his name written in Hebrew numerics. So
you have to fact check that. I mean,
okay.
Nero, maybe Latin N, Latin E, Latin R, Latin O. Or is it Nero Kaiser? I don't know. You have to fact check the exact characters or something added to it.
Yeah, it says. Yeah, the connection to 666 comes from numerical spelling of his name. So it goes to Na, Ra 1, Qatar. So Na 50, Ra 200, Wa 6, or it's like a Na 50, the final Na. It says Qua 100, Sa 60, and then Ra 200. It says, total, all of that equals 666.
666, yeah. Well, I mean, he's an Edomite anyway, so it will make sense. So whether he implements a chip or not is not. That would be good if he was, but it doesn't have to be, because he's the devil anyway. He's the one that saves his children, but he saves angels.
Yeah, know that. Yeah, we know that he's playing a big part in it anyways.
He could have been Esau himself in a reincarnation. So he's an Edomite, but Nero Caesar. So, and he could be Trump or he could not be Trump. But Nero Caesar was an Edomite. All right, so 666 would make sense. That's his number. He's one of Satan's children. All right? Go ahead.
It says what this implies: 666 functions as a coded identifier for a ruler, especially one associated
Edomite.
with.
Yeah, it's coded identifier for Edomites. Go ahead.
It says specifically one associated with persecution, imperial authority, and forced allegiance. So, hey, we know that Nero and reincarnation, Trump, he's coming in that same spirit.
Right. Now again, the word Nero, that's not it's not unique to one person. So, but we did have an emperor named Nero. So, there you go.
Yeah. That's it on that.
All right, Habakkuk.
Yep. Habakkuk 2 and 5. It says, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied.
Yeah, look up the meaning of wine in that context. Though he transgresseth by wine. Read it again. He's a proud man. That's why he's over there in Iran and in Saudi Arabia and these other countries.
Habakkuk 2 and 5. Also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people.
Yeah, so he had to open borders to come to Babylon, America. And wine, the first thing you look at is going to say what? Intoxicated, drunk, not sober-minded. What do you have?
It says, it says in the Hebrew, yayan for wine. It says from an unused root meaning to effervesce or effervesce. It says by implication. It says It says intoxication or banqueting. So when you get that word for effervesce, it means, yeah, so going back onto Latin, it says fervere, meaning begin to boil, from fervere, meaning be hot or boil. It also says, yeah, it's like, it also says intoxication. So, obviously we know, what that means. It says also banquet.
Right. Well, when you're intoxicated, you're basically in sin. You act in a way in which you break the law. You lose your control of your normal faculties. So it's a transgression, but it's worse. All right, it's transgression by wine. All right, so it's worse. So it is a transgression. Transgression means to pass over the limit, go beyond the bounds of, transgress. All right, when you transgress by wine, it's like 10 times worse, like an iniquity. So you're out of your mind. You're going beyond the normal transgression. More?
Go on, listen on that.
All right, we'll have to read it from different topics.
Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all people, all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against them, and a taunting proverb against them, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
Yeah, thick clay is batya, okay, which means a heavy debt. Debt. That's definitely America. $100 trillion in debt, whatever it is, 50 trillion, whatever it is. It's very high. Go to debtclock.org. It tells you how much debt it is, and then it tells you how debt per person, if it would be distributed by per person in America. All right. Read that verse again.
Yeah. Verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him?
The other nations. All these are the other nations outside of America that are the enemies of America and that are becoming enemies of America. Right?
And a taunting proverb against them, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his.
Yeah, increases that which is not his. All right, those mineral resources, oil. All right.
It says, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Verse 7.
Thick clay. Look up thick clay.
Thick clay. It says ibatya, meaning weight of pledges, heavy debts.
Yeah.
It says something pledged, i.e. collectively upon goods.
Yeah, and it's so corrupt and unbalanced where you say a just weight, false balance. Give me that where it says a false balance is abomination. So it used to be backed by gold, then it was fractionally backed by gold. Now it's not even backed by gold anymore. All right? Currency used to be backed by gold. Then it was backed by a fractional gold, meaning that you could lend out twice or 3 times as much, whatever the fraction was, based upon the amount you had. So you could lend out 3 times as more money or paper notes based upon. So you say you had $5 in gold, you can lend out actually $15 in gold, $15 in bills. All right, so it's fractional. Now it's not even backed by gold anymore at all. All right, so that's a false balance. So it's fictitious now. Now it is playing is monopoly money. Now it's based upon hegemony and trust. Go ahead, read that precept.
It's Proverbs 11 and 1. A false balance is abomination to the Most High, but a just weight is his delight.
False balance. All right? It's an abomination. That's something you're supposed to stay away from, abhor and hate. All right, stay away from it. All right, so the Lord looking down at the system and saying, this is a corrupt system. That's how Esau got so much power, by creating a corrupt system, which he could win at. All right, go, what you have?
Gone. So it says pledging of goods, hence load of debt, which one has contracted.
Which one has contracted. So that America, the Federal Reserve System, is a system based upon who's in power, who has the greatest military. The reason why Esau is able to keep the American dollar afloat is because of the American military and trust from those other nations that they're going to continue to use the dollar. As long as they don't use the dollar anymore, that's when war is going to take place. Be hovering around your waist. All right, so that pledge is apparently in debt to itself. So that's confusion. All right, that's confusion. So America's in debt to itself. So if that were true, then you can just forgive your own debt. But if they were to do that, then it would be like, okay, well, it's monopoly money. But America's in debt to itself. You know? It's crazy. And the nations agreed to this shit. They agreed to it. Because they were going to make more money. They were going to make more money, so they agreed to this crazy shit. The Federal Reserve is a part of America, so America's a debt to itself. See, the people are under a spell. Give me the scripture where it says, Isaiah, I would destroy the covering cast. People are under a fucking spell. You're in debt so you created a bank, and then you indebted all the American people to that bank. That's a part of the American government. So we're indebted to this American bank.
Yeah.
And the number keeps going up. So we're in debt. So that's American people's debt. So we're in debt to ourselves. That's crazy. So if it's our debt, we can just make it disappear. Go ahead.
Gone. So yeah, you know, going back onto the word wine, I got the word for intoxicate, meaning it's to cause someone, or like it says, cause someone to lose control of their faculties or behavior. It also says excite or exhilarate someone. So yeah, you know, ultimately these nations have lost control. That says what? Of their faculties or behavior. So you know, what?
Esau.
Yeah.
Esau transgresses by wine.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, it says excite or exhilarate someone. So again, you know, ultimately, you know, these other nations have drunken out that wine. You know, yeah, but you know, ultimately they might have some of their you know, traditions or this and that. But ultimately, you know, they have taken America's ways and put it within their own society. Right. And well, you know, they of course became drunk off of it because again, it's all corruption, and you know, of course, you know, well, yeah, it's all corruption. You know, corrupt system. So that's it on that. It also says, yeah, archaic to poison someone. So yeah, they've been poisoned by it. You know, that's why it says, what in the one scripture, how, you know, the nations are mad.
Yep. This is the book of Isaiah 25:6. It says, and in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on the lees well refined. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Yep. Isaiah 25:6. And in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on the lees well refined. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Yeah, so all the nations is pretty much going to be understand that they've been played the whole time by Babylon America, right? Because as we're seeing, we're in the time of Esau. He's being exposed, right? His history, who he is, what he's currently doing, what he's doing behind the scenes, right? Ultimately what his plans are, and the other nations are looking at this and are starting to come more and more against Esau, especially the small hats, which we know that Babylon is teamed up close, very closely with the small hats. With the small hats are Edomites as well. You see? So it says he will swallow up death in victory, and the Lord Yahweh will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth, for the Lord has spoken it.
Right, and we can prove this talking about the Israelites. Simply go to Revelation 2:25 and down. All right, read that verse again.
Yep. Verse 8, he will swallow up death in victory.
Swallow up death and victory. That's what? Corinthians 15th chapter. There's a spiritual body and the twinkling of an eye. All right, rough paraphrasing. All right. This only applies to the Israelites. All right, death is swallowed up in victory. All right, so the Israelites are going to become immortal. All right, not meaning no death. All right, corruption is going to be done away with. The body's not going to suffer corruption. Just like Yahweh Shai's body, he was resurrected, but his body never suffered decomposition. Our bodies will never decompose. All right, we're going to live forever. Death is swallowed up in victory. There's going to be no more death. So that's only talking about the Israelites. A particular partition. All right, a certain partition. All right. The Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and our people scattered in these other nations. All right, they're scattered for hundreds of years, thousands of years. Our people have been scattered in these nations. All right, and they're hidden in the nation. They're hidden in China. They're hidden. They look like the Chinese. Some of them might be darker. Some of them might be lighter. All right, it's the spirit. Their spirit's going to be different, even if they're fully engulfed in all heathenistic customs. They're going to be drawn out. It's because the book of Amos says that they're going to be sifted from among all nations. And not the least grain is going to fall to the earth. All right? We're exiled in other countries. The real Israelites are exiled. 99% of Israelites are exiled. All right? In other countries.
Yep.
All right?
Verse 9.
No,
That was it? All right.
That's this one.
1 Corinthians 15?
Yeah, I said like three different spirits. We bring out some of what I said.
Yeah, come on. It says 1 Corinthians 15. Yeah, it says 1 Corinthians 15 and 51. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. It says, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
Yeah, we should not all sleep. So the ones that are dead, they're gonna be raised up, incorruptible, no death. Look up incorruptible.
Gone. So it says in the Greek, it says apharth, or it says thartos, meaning uncorrupted, not liable to corruption or decay, imperishable.
Yeah, not liable to corruption or decay, just like Yahweh Shai's body. It did not decompose. Good.
It says immortal.
Immortal.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It also says undecaying in essence or continuance.
Continuance, yeah. So no break in continuity. It's continuous. Not together. With no interruption.
It says 1 Corinthians 15 and 53, for this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So in this corruptible shall put on incorruption, and this mortal shall put on immortality. Then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?
Yeah, it's not going to exist for the Israelites. But the other nations, they're going to suffer. They're going to suffer death, loss, mourning. Right? Because they're not the gods that were ordained to rule. Right? We were the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans from our respective tribes, from Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, Issachar. Our people scattered throughout the nations. Right? We are in exile throughout the whole planet Earth. Right? What verse you in?
55.
Go to 39.
Gone.
Yeah, you going to precept?
Yeah.
Go 39.
It says 1 Corinthians 15 and 39, all flesh is not the same flesh, But there's one kind of flesh of men, another of beasts, or it's like another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars, for one star differeth from another star in glory. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit.
Yeah, and then we're going to get that same blessing, quickening spirit. Now, did you read 52? Yeah, I think we did. All right, we'll read 51 of it.
It says, 1 Corinthians 15 and 51, behold, I show you a mystery, we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trump shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
Look up changed.
So, yeah, Greek word is alasso, meaning to exchange one thing for another, to transform. It also says to make different. It said,
Read it again.
gone. It says to exchange one thing for another, to transform, to make different. It also says, well, I believe that's the point.
Transform.
Yeah.
To be transformed, and it's in the future. You know, it's not happening now. It's going to be transformed in the future. All right. So we shall be changed. All right. So we're going to get a body that's incorruptible. That doesn't suffer death. So that means we'll be able to go into space, where the atmosphere is different. All right. The atmosphere is different in space. So, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua promised this to the children of Israel. Right? That we were going to receive the kingdom. All right, give me this last precept. Give me Genesis 17.
Out of me. Wait, where are we going to get this guy? Nigga 7. Hold on. Yeah. Who called my name? Who called my name? Mama?
6th verse.
God says Genesis 17 and 6, I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and it says, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee.
Yeah, the 12 tribes in Israel. You got multitude of kings that came out of the Israelites. All right, go ahead.
It says, and I will establish, I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee and their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a power unto thee, and to thy seed after thee.
Yeah, so that's the covenant, the first covenant that Yahweh made with the Israelites. All right, that covenant did not change. It does not include any other nation. Go ahead.
It says, verse 8, and I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their power.
And I will be, so Yahweh, the Bashim Yahushua, is our God. All right, he's the other nation's God too, but right now they're not in obedience, but they're going to be brought to subjection. Go ahead.
It says, Genesis 17 and 9.
We get the blessing. We're the firstborn. We get the blessing. All right, go ahead.
And the Most High said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations.
All right, so the covenant is between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Yahweh. All right, and he said, and he manifested his son to bring us back in after we fell off from the following the covenant. What?
It says, verse 10, this is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. Verse 12, and he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations. He that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house and that is brought with thy money must needs be circumcised.
Right, so everybody in your house got to be circumcised, whether they of your seed or not. Like, hold up there. What you have?
Jeremiah 31.
Right, that's what I'm going to ask you.
Yep. All right.
Perfect. Go right along with it.
Yep. This is the book of, well, let me get it again. I lost it. Jeremiah 31.
So we just read about the first covenant. Now he's about to read about the second covenant.
Yep. 31 and 31. Behold, the day shall come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was husband unto them, saith the Lord. And I want to say real quick, because now that's where the reconciliation comes in, right? Israel being a estranged wife, right? Israel being the spiritual wife of the Lord. Well, we're gonna be brought back to that marriage through who? The husband Yahweh Shai, because he's the husband, right? He's the Lord, right? Verse 33, it says, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and it will be their power, and they shall be my people. So this is what, as we just read, Paul was talking about. He was pretty much expounding upon it, right? Because this is going into the when the new covenant is fully established, we're going to be made incorruptible. This is going to our bodies being perfect, being made incorruptible. All right. It says, verse 34, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them.
Yeah, meaning we're not going to forget anymore.
Right.
And we can be taught something and get information that we didn't know before as children, but we're not going to make a mistake. You have to be trained on that mistake. So we're not going to have a prophet that needs to go out and say the correct mistakes that Israelites make, because Israel, our people, are not going to make any mistakes.
Yep.
But
verse
we're
34.
gonna be perfect and immortal.
And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more.
What verse was in?
34.
Go back to 31.
Verse 31, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their power, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his...
And they shall be my people.
Yep.
All right, so the point is law in the inward parts. All right? I mean, the law is going to be in our mind, and we'll be able to make perfect judgment. No evil thoughts. Everything's going to be to its perfection. All right? Total unity. All right? So we'll see y'all next week. Shalom.
Shalom.